To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry, and I'm your host, Shawn Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house, my very haunted house, where I live. And I have to admit, the last few weeks it's been very quiet. Today, not so much. Things have been moving and getting dropped off of shelves and knocked over, and it dawned on me it's because of my guest today. I have a theory. I could be wrong, but I have a theory. And you all know her and you all love her, and she's in the green room. I'm going to bring her right out. But thank you also very much for taking an hour out of your busy Monday evening to spend with me, because I don't have a show without you guys. So let's get started. Let's check the prayer urn. William T. I'm a father. He's in Arkansas. Hi, William. I'm a father, which started at first as an imaginary friend for my young son, has turned into something much more ominous. Could you pray for us? Absolutely. Absolutely, William. And you're not alone, and that happens a lot more often um, than you would think. And you know what? I'm going to leave your prayer request out and talk with my guest tonight a little bit about that. But yes, let me find you a good one here. You know what? I know right off, and this is right in the front of the book. So this was meant to be. You are a father, and this prayer is for our main father and for all the fathers like you, who are very protective over their children. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Saint Joseph, terror of demons, cast thy solemn gaze upon the devil and all his minions, and protect us with thy mighty staff. Thou fled through the night to avoid the devil's wicked designs. Now, with the power of God, smite the demons as they flee from thee. Grant special protection, we pray, for children, fathers, mothers, families, and the dying. By God's grace, no demon dares approach while thou art near. So we beg of thee, Saint Joseph, always be near to us. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. I will add you to the prayer list after the show, William. And please keep me posted on how things get some clergy over there. Get the house blessed, cleansed. If your son isn't baptized, get him baptized. Keep me posted, please. Thank you. Okay, let's check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Thomas H. from Ohio. What is your biggest no-no when ghost hunting? I got a lot of them. I'll make it quick though. Well, I don't really ghost hunt anymore. Back in the day, I did. I don't really ghost hunt anymore. But when I did, my big no-nos were disrespecting a location and disrespecting ghosts. I mean, something as simple as trespassing at a location just to investigate it because it's rumored to be haunted. That's disrespectful. Um, Asking ghosts to, a lot of conjuring and asking ghosts to perform circus tricks over and over and over again. That's disrespectful. So I guess those would be my two big no-nos. But now, with what I do and the kind of cases I work, which are much more of a malevolent type of case, I don't like to conjure. I don't. I'm an experiencer. I don't conjure and I don't provoke. Actually, you can throw provoke back on the ghost hunting days too. I never provoked. So then and now, no provoking and no conjuring. No religious provocation either. A lot of people ask me that because of what I do. Do you do religious provocation? And this is another great question that I'm going to leave out. And if we have time, throw at my guest tonight because this is right up her alley. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz, and that's our website. If you go there, there's a lot of cool things to see. But don't leave the website without doing a couple of things for me, big favors for me. I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation to our ministry. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. But don't leave without going over to the page called the WSE course/book. And after you scroll through the ghost store and hopefully purchase a couple of things if you go for that sort of stuff. Down near the bottom, you'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, my publisher, owner of Stellium Books. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book a little less expensive at Amazon, but if you buy it off of the website, I autograph it for you because it comes right from my office, and I enclose it in a beautiful house blessing kit. So you get some tools to help you if you ever have issues of that type and need a little extra help. And this is a great time to purchase the book because there are stories in there that I left open ended because they were still open cases. And God Ghosts in the Paranormal Ministry 2 Chronicles of an American Exorcist comes out in November of this year. And I bring closure to some of those cases in that book. So this is a great time to get the first one, get all caught up before, God willing, you rush out and buy the second book when it comes out in November. Scroll a little further down on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And that is a course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course at the website. If you would like some more information on the course before making that type of commitment, reach out to me. Give me a call. Send me an email. Send me a private message on Facebook. Ask me about the course. We'll talk. Or you can go to the Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page and read a little bit about the course before making that type of commitment. Most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. And all my students that graduate receive a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. All right, brothers and sisters, the reason why you all tuned in tonight. She's a friend. She's extremely gifted psychic portrait artist, extremely gifted, talented, knowledgeable paranormal investigator, and the resume goes on and on and on. So please, she's back by extreme popular demand because that's how much you guys loved her when she was here the first time. Welcome to the show, the one and only Angela BOLEY. Angela, are you here?
I am here.
You look so pretty tonight. How are you?
Thank you. I feel fantastic. I'm so looking forward to this.
And you look so much more brighter than me. I'm in the dark and you're in the light. We both should be in the light, or at least flip it around. Hi, Jimmy. Or at least flip it around, and I should be in the light. You should be in the dark. You've got the spirit thing going, and I'm supposed to
Yes.
be preaching love and light. But thank you so much for hanging out with me for an hour and my paranormal ministry family. Like I said, I wasn't joking when I said back by popular demand. I say that a lot, but this doesn't leave us. It's our little secret. Lots of times I make that up to make the guest feel good. But in your circumstance. It's the God's honest truth. So many people reached out to me after the last time you were here, loved you, and a few people sent questions for me this week leading up to the show when I started promoting your appearance. So, um, thank you. How are you doing? I still ask people this question because I know a lot of people think the pandemic is over, and I guess essentially it is, but COVID's still around. I still, right now, I know people that are violently ill from it.
Mhm.
Still, I've lost a lot of friends to it. So, how are you and everybody you know that you love that's close to you doing with it? Is everybody's health good? You doing good?
I'm doing great. My parents are doing well, and they're healthy, as they can be for the conditions they do have. I did have my aunt's just passed away recently, but she was in her 80s, and it was just her time. But other than that, everybody's doing rather well that I know of in my family. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, God bless. And when I first met you, and I met you not even on my show, I met you quite some time before that on an episode of Unsolved Cases, I believe it was.
As unexplained cases.
Unexplained Cases. Oh my gosh, my friend that is the head of that group is going to be so mad at me that I butchered that name. Yes. Um, and I put you on the prayer list that night, and we're going to get into some of your paintings. You painted a very scary portrait of something that was here
Hmm.
messing with me, and I wanted to purchase that painting from you, and I had a long powwow over dinner in the living room with my wife about that painting. And the reason why I held off on that was because I take a lot of photos back in the day, and even now when I work cases, and captured a lot of um, odd things, paranormal things, unexplainable things on film. Some of this stuff tended to hold on to some negative energy. Some of the photos I even had to destroy, some I had to bind, some
Hmm.
I just leave where they're at and don't really give them out or show them. And I feared, and I shouldn't fear anything, but I feared that perhaps so much of your energy, so much more than me just holding a camera up and taking a photo, there's so much more in you being psychically gifted involved in you painting psychic portraits. Because my wife and I at that time were having some issues in the home, I thought it best that I not purchase the painting, but I
Hmm.
still, every once in a while, I have it downloaded in my many photos here on my hard drive, and I check it out every once in a while, and just it still gives me goosebumps. It makes the hairs stand up on my arm when I take a look at it. So we'll get into all your. You sent me, I think, 9 portraits that my co-producer Zach is going to pull up when we're ready, one at a time, and we'll just take a look at them, and you can tell everybody the story behind them and how that inspiration and that psychic energy came to you to draw that and paint that portrait. But one of the questions sent to me today was people are interested in your story. And I
Hmm.
believe it stems from there's a lot of people out there that are psychic that don't know it, psychic that are a little scared of it, psychic and are trying to work with it, and some scary things have happened. But I know a lot of people are interested in your story. So, Angela, you know me. People tune in for you. They didn't tune in for me. If you want to talk for the next hour, I don't care. But tell everybody about your story.
So when I was about 5 years old, I mistook a bottle of aspirin as a bottle of candy, and I consumed all the aspirin in that bottle.
Oh my gosh.
And I was bleeding through the stomach. I didn't know it. I started vomiting blood. I was rushed to the emergency room. I went into shock, and the emergency physician, who was an emergency pediatric unit at the time, said that I needed blood. He told the nurse to go and see the blood reserve to see if there was any blood that they could provide to me. And the nurse came back and said, no, there wasn't anything. And the doctor told my parents I was going to die. I continued to go into shock. I felt hot. I felt cold. I felt hot. I felt cold. I finally found extremely cold. And he laid me on the table, put a blanket over my face. I didn't know why. And I actually heard him make a phone call. And then he went back to my parents and said, I called the county coroner. I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get here. It could be minutes. It could be hours. And he said, this is the youngest child we ever had die in our ER before. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what death was. I was just too little. And after he had put that blanket over me and I was laying there on the table, I actually had this sensation of going through a tunnel. And like I had little cobwebs that I was experiencing as I passed through that tunnel. And then I saw very clearly a beam of sunlight shining through the ceiling. And I thought, sunlight doesn't shine through ceilings. How is this possible? And what ended up happening, I actually rose out out of the table I was laying on and floated up the sunbeam. And I actually floated through all the floors of the hospital to see all the patients and all the other floors. And I rose higher and higher, and then I could look down on the roof of the hospital beneath my feet. And I look up and I'm seeing I'm heading towards an extremely bright light. And I still have my rational thinking. So I said, am I heading towards the sun? Where am I heading? Then I look over and the sun looks dim compared to the light I'm going to. The light I'm going to is so much brighter than the sun, many times bigger. And I go into that light. And while I'm in that light, I feel such incredible joy. And there was no doubt that this was a source of all intelligence, the source of all order, the source of all perfect love, joy, peace, everything good. And intelligence that I can't describe to you. It's so much higher than our thoughts. And a voice emerged out of that light and said, your body is made out of individual small structures called cells. I'm repairing every single one of them and I'm sending you right back. So after I was in the light for some time, the reverse happened. I actually came down the light, down to the roof of the hospital, through the floors, and I could see my body laying on the table. And that jarred me. It's like that's my body and it's just a device that I occupy. And I lined up with my body. And as I lined up with my body, I heard that voice say, get up, get up, get up. And on the third time he said, get up, I leaped off the table. And the doctor, the nurse, everybody looked incredibly shocked. I didn't know why. I just thought I woke up. And the doctor went over to my parents and said, can I re-examine her? And of course, my parents said, yeah, go ahead and re-examine her. So he re-examined me and he said, not only is she fully recovered, but she's actually healthier than the average child her age. And I had been dead. I had no pulse. I had no brain activity. I had no heartbeat. I had no blood because I completely vomited the full volume of blood I had in my body out through my stomach. And I'd been dead for over 30 minutes. And I had no damage. And I was actually came back healthier than before I died. So when I came back and I went home, that's when I started immediately seeing spirits. Our house was haunted, and I would see these shadow figures, they, these horrible shadow figures that would growl at me. You know, they'd come out of the walls, they'd come out of up of the floors. In fact, there's one of them I sent you. A portrait I did of one of these shadow figures rising up out of the toilet. It scared me really terribly. And I was actually at somebody's house when that happened. It was at my cousin's house. So I thought the haunting was kind of limited to my house. But when I went to another house, went to my cousin's house, we were in the basement playing, and we had one of those toy phones that had the bright eyes and the little smile on it, and it had little red receiver with the four red wheels, and had a clapper for a bell underneath it. And the only way it would ring is if you were pulling the phone and the wheels were moving, and it would ring the bell so that the phone was ringing. It was sitting in the corner of the basement, and we just felt this extremely heavy presence, and it was hateful. I mean, this thing wanted to tear me apart. It felt like it wanted to kill me. And it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. We were getting more uncomfortable, and it got so bad. I looked at the corner of the basement thinking, I'm going to see something there. There wasn't anything there, but all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and the phone wasn't moving, and it was just ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. My cousin got scared. He ran up the basement stairs. And I said to it, I'm 5 years old. I'm a big girl now. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to scream. I'm just going to calmly walk out of the basement. So I walked up the stairs, went out of the basement, and I saw some more steps. Okay, I'm going to go upstairs to use the bathroom. So I went up the other set of steps to go to the second floor to use the bathroom. As soon as I walked in the bathroom, this thing rose out of the toilet. It was a smoky black figure, and it was blacker than black, with smoky edges, and it had glowing white eyes, had glowing white needle-like teeth, and it rose out of the toilet and growled at me, and that made me scream. And I screamed, and I got so scared I ran out of the house and ran into traffic, and my dad had to grab me and pull me out of traffic. I got so scared. Eventually, at the house, moving back to the house, I got so tired because I wasn't sleeping. We had these entities called peekers. I call them peekers. Like, even when my lights on, I would see these entities that would peek into my room. They kind of look like heads on a rope. Is the best way I can describe it. They have a rope bodies and these small faces with lots of teeth, bright eyes, and this wiry looking head. And it would just peek into my room and peek out, peek in, peek out. I got tired of that stuff. I got tired of we had constantly something was always walking up our stairs. In the house that we lived in, we had a set of stairs, and then have a landing, and then the last set would lead to right to my bedroom and my parents' bedroom and the bathroom. The rooms were all right next to each other. Something would come up the stairs every single night, and it sounds like they were trying to break the steps. With every step, they were going up and down, and then they'd come up to my landing and turn around, come back down, but you wouldn't see anybody. This was happening for night after night for a while. My dad would get up with a different weapon every night, thinking somebody broke in and could never find anybody. I just, and of course, I would scream when I'd see some of these shadow figures I kept seeing. My dad kept saying, "Oh, it's just a dream or something." My parents just would not believe me. And it was really, really horrible because I'm being victimized by these things, tormented by these things, and nobody believes me. I decided one night I've had it. I just had it. I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of not being able to sleep. So I turned all the lights on, turned all the lights off in the house. And normally I was sleeping with the light on. So I turned everything off and wandered around the house in the dark, like, come out and face me, come out and fight me, come out and fight me. You know, keep in mind, I'm still a little girl.
Yeah.
Come out and fight me. Like, I'm going to punch you if you're going to keep this up. And I went through all the entire house in the dark. Then I went back upstairs to the bathroom, pulled the shower curtain back, and there was four of these entities standing in the shower. These are these rope-like entities I call the peekers, and they were standing right upright, and I stared at them as long as I could. They trying to glare at them. Stop this. And then, of course, eventually I screamed and ran away into my bedroom, but they never showed up again. They never showed themselves in my house again after that. No shadow people, no peekers. And there was paranormal activity sort of scattered throughout my whole childhood there. I had the little radio that I had. I had a little phonograph, little record player, little kid's record player with radio, and it turned itself on full blast, and it was also going through the dial through all the stations by itself, and I could see the knob spinning. And I unplugged the radio, and I took the radio, grabbed it, pulled it off the shelf, and ran downstairs to the basement and grabbed my dad's tools and took it apart. And I'm like, I can't believe, first of all, I can't believe we paid money for this because it's holding the dial together. It's literally a rubber band. A rubber
Yeah.
band comes out and goes around this wheel, and that's what turns the dial up and down. And I couldn't find an explanation. It could not possibly be that by itself. There was all sorts of sounds. We also had one day when we were all sitting in the living room. So my parents, myself, were sitting on the sofa. It's broad daylight, and we hear somebody walk across our hardwood floor upstairs bedroom from the window to the door of the bedroom and flip the light switch on. Of course, it's an older home and it makes a really loud click when you turn it on. And we all just quit talking and we're looking upstairs. And Nobody was brave enough to go up and check except for me, like a few hours later. To go use the bathroom, and I went up and checked, and there was nobody there. So it was just constant. But eventually, and then we had a this whatever this entity was, this female entity that was sort of in charge of all the entities that were harassing me, and that was very vicious. It's like she attached herself to me. She tried everything. She appeared in my nightmares. She tried everything she could to really stop me from using my abilities. And eventually, when I got older, we had a little confrontation, and what she wanted me to do was to serve the demonic with my entities. And she's trying to say, well, look, we could really use your powers to destroy a lot of people. I said, no, I'm not going to. No, that's horrifying. That's horrifying. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Um, she continued to try to stay around me. When I got a little bit older, I started going to college. I didn't think I was psychic. I didn't realize how psychic I really was until my first year. I was going to about do for college, and I was going to go for a walk. So I thought it was going to be a nice, cool day. So I'm going to walk back into the house now, grab my coat before I go on my walk just to make sure I got it with me. I opened the closet door, pulled my coat out, shut the closet door, and there's a man standing there that appeared to be skinned to the bone. I've never seen a human being this uh, awful
Yeah,
before.
emaciated, beyond emaciated.
Yeah, skin. He'd been skinned. Uh, it's all his flesh had been ripped off the upper half of his body down to his waist, and he still had his eyes in his head, but it was mostly bone, torn flesh, and there was just this gory mess, and there was blood pooling on the floor. I looked down. He had stonewashed jeans, but he had these high top tenor shoes, and they were glowing. They were glowing like they were lit up, and his stonewashed jeans were kind of flared at the bottom. And he started talking. He made the motions of talking, but I couldn't hear his voice, but I could hear his voice in my head. And he was saying that he needed help. He was aware of me. It's like he caught a glimpse of me because I would drive through Marymount. At the time I lived in Cincinnati, drive through Marymount on my way to the art academy because I did a little bit of high school and college at the same time before I started college full time. And he would see me going past where he died, the factory where he died. He told me how he died. He was feeling guilty. He's blaming himself because he said he smoked pot all through high school and he just got a factory job and he thought that would be it for him. And he was pulled through the machinery at the factory, like on his first day. He told me about it, and yeah, I went into shock because one thing, I didn't see anything like this ever before. My hair stood up on end. I could feel my blood just go cold. And I knew I had to just walk away and take a breath. And I said, I'll do what I can to help. I don't know how to help yet, but for right now, I've got to walk away and take a breath. So I walked away, and as soon as I walked out the door, Dad's waiting for me, and he says, "You look like you've seen a ghost."
Yeah.
I didn't tell him what I meant, and so I did some research. So I contacted and actually did some research with the Department of Labor, Safety, and Hygiene, and they actually recorded a death of an 18-year-old male who was sucked through the machinery at the exact location back in 1979. So that's the same year I passed when I was 5 and came back. So maybe that was the connection.
Oh yeah.
And he
Yeah.
had this very narrow moment, he said, where perfect, he only had a short time where he could manifest himself. And he didn't elaborate what those circumstances were, but he only had this short window of time that he could do it in. And so he came to me, and that's when I realized, no, this isn't happening on a regular basis. There's something special about me, unique to me. And Jesus kept coming to me also. He kept coming to me and telling me about my abilities. And at first, he just appeared as a doctor. I didn't realize it was Jesus. And he was saying, "You've been given this ability, you've been given these gifts. But first, you have to understand how the spirit world works so you can understand how to use your gifts. And he told me to read the Bible, and I did. And I read the Bible cover to cover repeatedly throughout my life. And that was very, very helpful. He also appeared to me as a biker, which is the coolest one. A biker in a full beard, tattoos, which is really cool. He was riding a Harley, the Harley with the high handlebars,
Yeah.
right? And he had love tattooed across all of his knuckles. And he had on one shoulder tattooed
What did the knuckle tattoo say?
love. He, instead of people having love and hate, he had
Yeah.
love across both hands.
I think I'm gonna get those. I think I'm gonna get those tattoos.
And then he had Alpha and Omega tattooed on one shoulder. And in the shoulder, he said, "I was born to die, raised from the dead." And he looked at me with such love, and there was this incredible love in his eyes. And he says, "Before you were born, I knew you." I'm like, I know he's my father. I wasn't thinking Jesus, but I was like, I know he's my father somehow. Before I was born, he knew me. Like before creation, he knew me. And he said to me, "The demons want control of your gifts, but I have given you this. And it is through my Holy Spirit that I control it. The demons can't control it, only I do." And that's when I realized, like, okay, Jesus gave me these abilities, these gifts. Because it was like he had attuned me when I came back, or attuned me to some frequency where I could see and experience the spirit world more fully and more strongly. I eventually teamed up with a paranormal group, and I thought, well, I'm not the kind of psychic that can go into a house and just tell you the history, but that's exactly what happened. Didn't know the, didn't even know the address I was going at. Somebody just came and picked me up in the car and took me there. And as soon as I walked in, I felt like I was being pulled back in time, and I was being pulled back to the 1940s. When I stepped in, I saw a woman in the kitchen that was dressed in her 40s, like house dress, and she was cooking. And I went in the basement, saw her husband who wore a hat and he smoked a cigarette and he liked to play cards down there. And I got that they didn't have any kids, they were middle aged. And I picked up a shadow person that was upstairs. I could also hear arguing between two living people there, the father and the daughter. So the daughter um, had a pregnancy, unexpected pregnancy, and so the father and daughter had been arguing quite a bit. And I could hear it. And the case manager said, well, the house that was originally here was built in the 1940s. There was a middle-aged couple that lived here. They never had kids. The man wore a hat and he liked to smoke. It's like, oh my gosh, I got that, got everything right on. And then there's reporting shadow people. And the owners of the house showed me a photograph, and they took a photograph of their dogs. Their dogs would refuse to go in the kitchen. And one of the dogs, who was not even a hunting dog, but was pointing like a pointer at the kitchen, exactly spot where I saw the woman standing. And there were other psychics in the group that also picked up on this woman and her husband. And I also got that there were cats. Like they had cats, and the cat still comes in and out of the house as in spirit and brushes up against the woman's legs. And the woman kept complaining, I kept getting brushed. I get this feeling like somebody's brushing up against my legs every time I do laundry. It's like, well, it's their cat. Their cat comes and goes. So it turns out, yes, I am one of these psychics that can go into a house and get the history. And I got, the more I did this, the more details I would get. And I not only would see spirits, but they would come to me even before we would go to locations, started coming to me. And then I started painting their portraits before we would go. The first time I did that was an investigation that was around OSU campus. And there's campus housing that are basically houses in this kind of rough neighborhood. This man came to me in a skeletal form, and he was in a bag, and he was like poking his face through the bag, like a plastic bag, and it was skeletal. But his personality was like fun, and he was really, really something. And he liked to hang around college kids because he liked the party atmosphere and he liked to drink. That was another reason he hung around with the college group. And he gave me his name, so I did his portrait. We went to the location, And when the investigators had a spirit box, they said, "Could you clarify something for me? Is your name Nathaniel David, or is it David Nathaniel?" And then a voice came through, "Nathaniel David," very loud and clear. And I talked about, okay, so he liked to drink, and he would say, "Get drunk," and all the college kids would get a laugh out of that. But then all this whole history came through to me. His sister had preceded him in death. His parents were alcoholics, and weren't paying attention to his little sister who drowned in the pool because they just weren't paying attention. She got in the neighbor's pool and drowned, and he never forgave his parents for that. And that's why he started drinking himself. And I got that he was a tall guy with sandy blonde hair, blue eyes, and he was buried in a pauper's grave. That's why he looked like that, because his body was disrespected. He said, "I didn't deserve to be treated like trash after I died. I didn't deserve to be disposed of that way." And he asked for a little wreath to be made with his favorite colors. He wanted purple and white. My friend made one for him and then took it to the campus and set it down. And then I asked for Holy Mary, Mother God, to bring her blessing of peace and her presence in that home. And she did. And I got a call from one of the college kids that lived in that house saying, "This is such a presence of peace and protection on this house now."
Wow.
And I helped David. He helped him cross over. I asked Mother of God, please open the doorway to heaven to help him cross over. And his family came over. So his sister, who had grown up in heaven, I got to see what she looked like. And she brought other relatives he didn't know about that had passed. They all gave him a big group hug, and they were walking towards the light. And as he got towards the light, he looked more and more human. He looked more and more healthy and wonderful and happy. And then he just crossed over.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I have a bunch of your paintings. I'm going to ask you a quick question, then I want to start. Yeah, before we run out of time, I want to make sure people see these paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me ask you this question about your painting. You've got an event coming up. I wish I lived closer to you. I would so be there. Um, Post Town Elementary School, and the event is called the Non-Con 7.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a big deal because there's been 6 before this one.
Yes.
And it's September 23rd, 24th, 25th. You're going to be there speaking, meeting people, displaying your psychic portraits. If someone wants to buy a psychic portrait, is there energy, good or bad, or is there anything they should be concerned about purchasing your portraits?
No, they shouldn't be, because I've had people that've had negative attachments, and those negative attachments, because we have guardian angels, and they just enlist assistance of their guardian angel to take that attachment away and push it away and get rid of it. But they shouldn't be concerned. The most of the time, I'm usually picking up angels. Uh, Angels in the form of animals, as we go, spirit guides or animal spirit guides. Loved ones are coming through who are guiding and protecting. I can count on one hand how many times I've had run into people that've actually had something negative attached to them. And they can actually message me. My Facebook page is Angela BOLEY, Psychic Portrait Artist. You can just send me a message on Facebook. Let me know you're interested. Also, when I'm at Post Town as a vendor, I do quick readings, about 10 or 15 minutes, and
Oh,
just to
very
do a quick
cool.
painting, and they charge $30 each for that because it's very brief. It's only 15 minutes. But the ones I do at home take about 4 to 8 hours to produce, and I'll include not only what spirits are there, but their messages, whatever visual symbols or images they want to convey into the artwork.
Very, very cool. I so wish I lived closer to you. Um, and I know Poatstown Elementary Schools, what better place to have that type of event? Very haunted. The
And
rumors I hear about it, very haunted. Um, well, listen, I don't know which ones Zach's going to put up. He'll just put them, I think I have maybe 9 of them. We're going to put them up one at a time, and when they pop up, it may just be you in the painting on the screen. I may not be on the screen anymore. But when they pop up, uh, go ahead and describe what we're looking at.
sure.
And whenever Zach, there we go.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I remember that one.
yeah, this is my angel who hangs out around me, and he's fiery. And the reason why he looks like fire is because that fire represents the passion of God's love for us. and he is always with me. And especially if I'm doing any type of energy work where that person needs an energy clearing or cleansing or healing, he's right there helping.
That is a wonderful painting. Oh, well, that one is. I remember that one too. Yeah, that's another one of those. Uh, and a lot of people see that portrait and they don't even realize what you've got going on in the back there. That's really that's not good. So talk to everybody about that portrait.
Yes, so these entities came to me. These are negative. These are the demonic entities that feed off of fear, hatred, negativity, and they were bragging. It's like, we don't care who sees us now. You're going to paint our portraits. So I did the portraits, and then like telling everybody you need to forgive and be kind and belong to Christ, because you don't want to empower these things. You want these things to put these things under your feet. And the redness and everything, I remember like the judgment of God, or the sun turns black, and the redness. And when I've been shown visions like towards the end, I remember like visions of the future. I've also been shown a time where everything is just red. There's no daylight, there's no dark, the sky is just red all the time, and even the air is red. And that's what I incorporated into the artwork, because it was just so, felt like it was so tied into final judgment. And some people would think it reminds them of 911, but that cityscape behind them. But yeah, those are the type of entities that influence people through their negative emotions, because they are empowered by them. But if you're kindness and you forgive, these things will have no power.
Wow, that's intense. I love this one.
Yeah, this one is around a woman that recently had lost her husband, and she also recently lost a Lucifer legs. And this angel says he's the guardian of this blue white flame. That's an energy that she can use for healing. And her husband actually had a hand in this, her deceased husband, because that little symbol on his chest there is a structure that's attached to these samurai helmets as a decoration that he had. So that's on his chest, and I didn't know it. But this angel has a blue, white flaming sword, an axe, and blue flaming wings. And when this one was a little girl, she accidentally killed a parakeet. Her parakeets, her parents raised parakeets, and she accidentally killed one playing with one. But he
Oh,
still hangs around her, and he loves her. And she also has a dove that I see around her in spirit as well. And I incorporated all of that messaging into that painting. This angel is really a guardian angel, and he's incredible. I mean, it's got these beautiful blue flames. Amazing.
that's wonderful.
And this is another one. I asked her deceased husband, who showed up at my house, and my parents, and my
Tho-
dad.
those pesky spirit hitchhikers.
My parents, they didn't believe me. They just thought that I was just running some sort of angle in my artwork, and I'm not really psychic, until he showed up at our house. And my dad didn't even know who he was, but he had paranormal activity. He took her husband showed up in a dream. I knew who he was instantly, even though I knew he died as an elderly man. But he showed up when he was 18, and he was just so, he had a dark T-shirt, and then he disappeared. And after that, he wanted to show that he was here. So he actually took a suction cup that my dad always attached to his golf bag, put it in the truck for my dad, so he can have it ready when he's golfing. And then before my dad got in the shower, he laid out my dad's deodorant and razor. And my dad always has this razor deodorant tucked in the drawer. This time was on top of the sink, and this razor was standing up by itself. It's one of those plastic razors. They cannot stand up by themselves the way they're designed, but
No.
it's standing upright. But this was his communication to her. He wanted this painted for her, and he wanted to show that he is still learning. On the other side, he's learning about different alternate realities and how they kind of intermix with each other. And those spirals represent sort of like the spirals of galaxies and different time. Uh, he's learning about these very sophisticated things, and he was a very intellectual man, so it's kind of appropriate he's continuing to learn. And his wife loves it. I mailed it off to her, so we're Still waiting for her the post office to deliver all of her paintings, but that was the painting that he wanted me to paint for her and to give her.
Wow, that's very cool. Very cool.
And
This is
this,
a scary one too.
yeah, this is the
Yeah.
thing that I saw when I was 5 that scared me so bad. And when I told you earlier about the entity that rose out of the toilet, this is what it looked like. And there was actually a demonology. There's a Babylonian demon called Sulak that supposedly rises up out of the toilets, and that's what the one that sent me into the street. It was, terrified me as a kid, and they growled, and it was horrible. It was the deepest growl you've ever heard.
A lot of these scarier pictures, if for anything, they could be used as just reminders, solid
Mm-hmm.
reminders as to, you know, your your worst fears not only are true, but there are things a lot worse than your worst fears. And
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right with what you said earlier. I tell people every day, I have a lot of people that reach out to me that aren't religious at all. They have no real religious belief system, but they're good people, but they're having these issues, spiritual issues. And I just tell them, it's so simple. Just wake up every day and try to be the best version of yourself that you can every day. Turn the other cheek. Learn how to do that. Learn how to be humble, and just treat people the way you would want to be treated, and try to start spreading the love and be more loving and forgiving and accepting of people, and just try to raise that vibrational level up. And I think think about if everybody in the world just did that one little simple thing, how
Right.
much things would be different right now. And I'm thinking about that portrait you pictured of the oh, this is another scary one. I don't like this one either.
This is one of the peekers that, as a kid, that were peeking that peeked into my room. That's what they kind of look like. It's kind of like a rope-like body, no arms, no legs, on a head on a kind of like a rope-like, wiry rope-like body, glowing eyes, sharp teeth, with a small head that was always peeking into my room at night.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. I mean that in a good way. Now this one's cute. I really like this one.
This little guy is what you call a spirit animal. They're like angels, but in the form of animals. And it has happened to be the otter who is teaching the person how to use clairaudient and become clairaudient. And he's meditating in water, kind of representing the spirit world. And he's like, meditate with me. I just called the painting you oughta meditate. He's kind of
Uh,
floating in water there, and
that's very cute. That's very cute. I
so
like this one too. This is interesting.
yeah. So my friend sent me a photo of this man, and she asked me to see what I see around him. And I kept getting this grasshopper, these grasshopper spirit animal insect totem. Could tell him, man, you need to get out and party more and socialize. You need to just hop into the social scene. You need to be more enlivened and more social and get out there and live life a little bit. So he's like, it came with the song "Party Man" from Prince. I kept hearing that with him,
Yeah.
and, and he wanted to bring bright lights in, like he's on a dance floor, and bring like balloons and bubbles, and like he's
Now
sparkling and
now the
dancing.
only image I can get in my head now is Jack Nicholson.
Yes,
Oh my gosh, that is so weird. And oh, I like this one too. This is a nice one. I get really good feelings off of this one.
yes. So a friend of mine is working on writing a book, and I kept seeing an animal around her that was this butterfly. Well, she had somebody who had passed that she knew, whose name was Sam, and every time you see the butterfly, the spirit butterfly, we know that it's him. And so I asked Sam what did he want to communicate in regards to her book. So there's Sam up there uh, in the form of the white butterfly, representing sort of that metamorphosis of that change coming into the being of the spirit realm. And then that's heart muscle that this book is laying on. And then there's a hand pointing, and there's an eye. So basically, what he's saying here is her book needs to come from the heart. It's going to be an eye-opening guide, because that hand is like like guiding you
Absolutely.
to the spirit realm, like that. And you got that eyeball, so that's eye-opening. So
Wow.
that's something that he wanted to communicate.
Very cool. I lost track. Oh, I guess we're done. Well, listen, in the few minutes I have left with you, I want everybody to know two things about you. Well, one, I want you to know I love you and I respect you. And did you have fun when you come back?
Yes, absolutely.
The other thing I want people to know is that if they go to see you at this event, and once again, this event is the Post Town Elementary School, but the event is the Non Con 7,
Mm-hmm.
September 23rd, 24th, 25th. You'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can either they can either sit with you, get a quickie reading and a quickie psychic drawing,
Right.
but they can also hire you to do a more in-depth drawing, like painting, like we've just all seen of them. They can reach out to you,
Yes.
probably get a reading, but then also have you remote view them and your psychic visions of them and everything that's going on. That you can do a psychic portrait, a custom psychic portrait for them.
Yes.
That is so cool. And we've had your website up on the screen there. Um, I don't know anybody like you, and you're so talented and gifted. I know we talked a little bit in the green room that you've got so many more paintings, and you want to put together a book. I know
Yes.
Zach's going to introduce you, send you some information on some people he knows that some publishers. I'll do the same. I would be first in line to get that book when you finally get it done. Follow through with that. I think that is a win-win situation for you, for sure. And do you still enjoy paranormal investigating, or are you more into just giving psychic readings and doing the portraits?
I'm doing more of the psychic readings and portraits, not so much investigating. A lot of times when people are investigating, I'll do it remote viewing, and I just need basically the photo of the location and where it physically is, like city and state where it is, and then I will go there. I know we did one experiment with Rick, who's a producer off of Unexplained Cases,
Garner, yeah.
and he set up an experiment where I was remote viewing another investigator, and he didn't know, and I was going to try and actually manifest in some way like a spirit would, and just tap him on the shoulder. So I kept following him, and I kept tapping this investigator. He doesn't know it, and we have everything time stamped. So I sent Rick a message, what I was doing, that I was tapping on the shoulder, and he asked me, who did he, was he standing or sitting? I said, well, he was doing a little bit of both. I was following the whole time, and he's standing, and there's a woman with this curly brown hair that's with him. And then he played the video, and there's a time sent of me with my response, what I'm seeing, and I'm tapping on the shoulder, and a video at the same time where he's in the hallway of a hotel, and there's a woman with long brown hair, and he's saying, I got this cold feeling on my shoulder. It feels like somebody's on my shoulder. And he put on EMF meter, and I set off the EMF meter. So I was able to manifest like a spirit would, because I was there. I was able to tell him where he was, who
Wow.
was with him, and actually sent up an EMF. And I don't know if he didn't affect an actual tap, but he felt like a cold spot, like right on his shoulder where I was trying to constantly tap him. That's amazing to
That
me.
is amazing. I want to throw a personal. I have a lot of friends like you that are truly gifted psychics, and I have a lot of friends that head up paranormal teams. Some love working with psychics, some don't, and the ones that don't really know why they don't. Somewhere they saw a show somewhere where somebody said, we don't work with psychics. I think um, that's sad. And
Mm,
anybody that has a team that doesn't have one that's watching the show, you're a perfect example of why someone gifted like you is invaluable to a team, and that if teams that don't already have a psychic medium, a gifted one working with them, if they come across one, they should really think about letting one join or asking one to join their team because
absolutely,
it's
absolutely,
invaluable. It's absolutely invaluable.
absolutely. For example, they were at Post Town. We were in the nurses' station, and I was assisting another team there as a psychic. I was just there by myself, and there's another group there, and he decided he was going to do a flashlight test. He's supposed to loosen up the flashlight and set it on the table and do yes or no questions. But he wasn't asking questions that were relevant. So I kept picking up on this nurse that said that was very frustrated with parents for not taking their kids to the doctor because some of these kids that she was seeing, this is back in the 1930s, had very serious illnesses, and they need a lot more help than she could provide. And she was very frustrated. And I had him ask the nurse, "Are you frustrated with parents not taking their kids to the doctor?" So the flashlight he had sitting on this large table started spinning. And he started asking the question that I prompted him to ask based on what the impression is. It started spinning, spinning, spinning clockwise. It spun faster and faster, and then it slid to the end of the table and just stopped. He forgot to unscrew the ends, so this is the way that she could communicate, was spinning the flashlight around in the middle of the table in front of everybody and sliding the end to stop. If I had not been there, he would not have had that result because I was picking up on what the nurse was feeling and her frustration with the parents, and like, I can't do enough for these kids. These parents have got to step in and take their kids to a doctor. If that type of thing, if I had not been there, he would have kept on asking irrelevant questions that had absolutely no connection to school whatsoever or to the what happened there, and you would have not gotten that result. So I think it's important. It also helps the paranormal team to focus and not waste their time on rooms where spirits may not be occupying, and go to places where they are, and gathering evidence. So you're not just doing some grid pattern hoping to catch something. You can actually focus your time and your effort somewhere that's worthwhile and not.
Absolutely. Angela, if I was there, I'd give you a big hug and a kiss. Have a wonderful, wonderful remainder to your Monday evening. I'll send you some information on publishers, so will Zach. And I can't wait till we do this again. And thank you so much for being here tonight, okay?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a blast. Thank you so much.
You'll be back. You have a good evening. I'll see you later.
Thanks, you too. Bye
Good night.
bye.
You're welcome. I love Angela. She's just very gifted, very cool. Uh, I have some reading to do, so I'm going to turn on my little nightlight here because I am in the wow. I'm in the really in the dark here. I have this big tree outside my window, and this the later show on Monday. The sun goes behind this big olive tree, and then it just okay. I'm going to be here this Friday. Are you guys sitting down? They're the cutest lovebirds I know. They are a husband and wife spirit channeling team, and they're both authors, and they're both just really cool people. I love them both. I've known them a long time. Very talented, very gifted. Barry and Connie Strom will be here this coming Friday, September 23rd. That's going to be very special. The United States Old Catholic Church has night prayer every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific, if you're interested in that. And I have the link always on my personal Facebook page. Bishop James Long always has the link on his personal Facebook page. And the United States Old Catholic Church also has Bible study every Wednesday and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific. Again, you can always find the link on my personal Facebook page, on Bishop James Long's personal Facebook page. That's really a good time, too. Um, I want to thank my co producers, Zach and Adrian Clayton. And Zach did a bang up, thank you, brother, did a bang up job today getting Angela's pictures all set and ready to display for us. That was awesome. Thank you, brother. I want to thank Things Network. I want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. I want to thank Skeleton Key Network. I want to thank Pact. Little P, capital ACT, Pact. Podcasting for All Coming Together channel. All of these wonderful networks for simulcasting my show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank each and every one of you for hanging out tonight. I'll see you all Friday. I love you all. And this is now bad joke time. I'm going to pull a bad joke out of a hat. These are jokes that you all sent in, and it's my poor attempt to try and put a smile on everybody's face before I say goodbye. What do you call a fly without wings? A walk. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love each and every one of you. You're all on the prayer list. Peace.